Bearing bearing is a method of giving direction in terms of angle, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. So if you want to give a direction using an angle, that thing you are doing is what we call bearing. Now today we are going to start up a series on what bearing and distance. In this topic we are going to be considering how we can identify bearing, how we can apply it in measuring of distance, and how to do some other calculation that has to do with bearing and distance. So like I said earlier on, bearing is a method of giving direction in terms of angles. So for example, if we are, let's say you want to locate a place or you want to direct somebody to a place, and we say that you are, um, let's say that this is the point where you are, you both of you are in point A, and where you're going to, where the person is going to might be point B, and then you are to direct the person based on the angle, in terms of the angle of the location. So what you do, let's say if you know that let's say that the place you are looking in question is at uh, is angle 60 degree from what A. Angle is 60 degree, that means 60 degree from here, the direction. Oh, wow, my own, eh? Okay, we can put it here. So what I have done now is, that means if the person is to locate this very place, what the person needs to do is to move 60 degree towards what? Um, Let me use the compass method. Anyway, we're going to look at it in details. So, and north, 60 degree south. So what we do now is move, the person should move what? 60 degree towards the west, towards the east. Towards the east, sorry, I said north 60 degree east. That means that is the person will move what? 60 degrees towards the east in order to locate the place. So well, that is what we have done here. That's an example of using angles to give direction, which we call bearing. Now in bearing, we have two types of bearing. We have two types of bearing. Number one is the one we call the compass bearing. The compass bearing. I said we have number one, the one we call the what? Compass bearing. And we have a second one. The second one is a three three digits bearing. Three-digit bearing can also call it three-figure bearing, three-digit bearing, and compass bearing. Very important. You know this thing, and it's important to know them and then know how to apply them whenever you see them, what they really mean. In this compass bearing, to use the compass bearing, the knowledge of the four cardinal points is important. I say the word, the knowledge of the four cardinal points is important. That is, we talk about the north, south, east, and west. The knowledge of this is very, very important. And in this compass bearing is where we represent direction in terms of if you are you may have been seeing something like this. Let's say we have something like this, east, and then we have another one, west. That is, we have north 60 degree east, south 40 degree west. Now what it simply means is that in this compass bearing, um, the first cardinal point we have there, just like we have the north there, is telling us where the angle should be measured from. And then the last one there, this one is giving us the magnitude of the what angle, why the east for this very one. The east is telling us the direction the position is likely to be. Now, for example, if we are to locate this, if you are to locate this, but before we do that, we need to understand that each of these places, they are all 90 degree. 90 degree here. This is 90 degree. Here is 90 degree. Here is also 90 degree. And here is what? 90 degree. So when we want to identify an angle, a bearing of a point, for example, when we look at that, the first one we have north 60 degree east. What we are going to do here is, it means that we are starting from the north 60 degree towards the what east. Then we make our put our direction. That is, now we have 60 degree. This is what it represents. That's what it represents. Now for the second one, we have south 40 degree west, which means we are starting from the angle. We start from where? The south. The south, move here 40 towards the west. So this is how we identify our direction using compass bearing. Compass bearing is very important. For example, all these something like pilots, they use it. Talk about people, captains. So they use all these things to identify their location wherever they are. Even the soldiers, they also use these things. And then let's go down to the next one. We talk about the three-digit bearing. This is very interesting. That's a very interesting one. In this three-digit bearing, we call it three-digit bearing because it's always represented by every angle is represented by what? Three digits. For example, when we have 0, 65 degree, 1, 2, 3. Then we have, and then, okay, let's code it here. Now you can see that in this very one, in this three-digit bearing, we don't really need those cardinal points. Like the other one, the compass bearing, the knowledge of the cardinal points is very important so that you will know how to navigate your ways. Now, in this case, we don't really need that. In this three-digit bearing, they only start the bearing, the measurements, measurement of the angle start from what? The geographical north. Each of them start from what? Geographical north. For example, if we are to represent what we have here, we will say this is our north, and um, we have a we have 60 degree, 65 degrees, sorry. Then we move here. Now another thing you should also note here is that it's always moving from north pole clockwise direction. Clockwise direction. You know, that's how our clock move. This other side is what? Anti-clockwise. This is clockwise, the direction of the clock. The clock, that's what we say is clockwise. So clockwise direction. That's 60 degree, 65 degree. I like this 60 degree so much. Why am I repeating 60 degrees? This is 65 degree. Now for the next one we have there, that is 100 degree. To identify it all together, what we do again is knowing that from this point to this place is 90. That means what we need to make this 100 to be around maybe 10 degree. Yes, should be around 10 degrees. So from here 90, we'll come down here, we'll add 10 degree here to make up our what angle. So here is what? 100 degree. 100 degree. So this is how we can identify our angles, a bearing based on these three-digit bearing. Uh, Thank you so much for being part of this class. In the next class, we'll be looking at how we can identify the bearing of a place using each of these methods. So if you're joining for the first time, we encourage you to subscribe, and please try to share this video so that your friends will also have access to them, especially people that will need this information. Thank you so much.